we'll go ahead and get started since we have a decent amount of people in here. My name is Whitney Taylor. I am an account manager here at RunSignup, and I'm going to go over our volunteer platform. So today we're going to talk about the volunteer setup from the back-end perspective, what you guys would be doing, as well as the communication tools that we have, the reporting that we have, and then I'm going to show you a quick snippet of what it would look like from the user experience as a volunteer coming to register. So our first step, it's a 3-step wizard within the volunteer registration. The first step is the task setup. And this is one of the most important, as this is what your volunteers need to sign up for. So they are the tasks that you will create for your volunteers to go in and sign up. Be that packet pickup, water station, award ceremony, whatever it is that you need for your race. The way that is set up is by creating the task with the task title. You can set a priority to that task. If for the most part, I would say you can just leave the priority blank, but if it is a task that you really want filled and you're scared that you might not get it filled, you could set that priority to high. You can make the task private. This is rare. I would say maybe 1% of your volunteers you will need to do this for. And your example for that would be maybe like you had a high school team that always does that one water station every single year. So you can make your task private for that and then send that directly to them so they could have a password to get in and register for your specific task. And that way you're just making sure that your water station is covered by that team. You can add in your information if you'd like. That is an optional choice. You can add in a location for where the task is going to be done. That is also optional. You can set an age limit for your volunteers. So let's say you serve beer at the end of your race and you do not want 15-year-olds pouring beer. You could set an age limit for 21 and older where they will not be able to sign up unless they meet that minimum requirement. And then last but not least, with the specific task, you can assign a task coordinator. So if you have, I always like to use the example of like the finish line. Let's say you have a task like setting up the arch on the finish line. You could put whoever manages that task in there, and then they can go ahead and manage those volunteers for that specific task. And you'll see when you enter in their information for the task coordinator, they'll receive an email that looks exactly like this, where they can accept that invitation. And once they accept that invitation, they can log into their account, and they will be able to select whether or not they can opt in to get notifications if a volunteer were to sign up for their task. And this is just showing that the task coordinator has the ability to view, add, and email the volunteers within their specific task. And again, kind of reiterating the same thing. They can add, edit, and export their volunteers. Moving on to step 2 of the volunteer wizard, we have our time slots and resources. So with the time slots, this is where you can set up a minimum and maximum amount of volunteers that you need for each time. You could also just set up a minimum and maximum volunteer amount that you need for the specific task. So you don't have to have time slots. It's just for the most cases that we see, time slots you'll get more volunteers if you give them increments of time. And then we also have this section down at the bottom that says resources needed. This is visible to your volunteers when they go to register. So don't use this as a list for yourself, like a to-do list, like, okay, I need tables, I need cups, etc. This is going to be visible, and this is resources that you'd like your volunteer to bring to the race or to their position. And then the third and final step of the setup is the categories. So with categories, this is the ability to group multiple tasks within one specific category. So for example, water stations, you can group all your water stations within that one category, and then you can assign a task coordinator to that category where they can then manage all of those tasks. This is extremely helpful, again, like for a finish line setup and you have multiple things going on at the finish line and you want one person to oversee that. So that is the simple process of setting up your volunteer registration within RunSignup. And we're going to now move on to the data that you can collect from your volunteers. So essentially, we have our required questions where they don't have to be required if you uncheck them. You'll see that on the far side. It's your standard gender, date of birth, address, city, etc. And then we have your custom questions. Now, in the volunteer registration flow, we do not have like we do in the race registration, we do not have emergency contact in there, and we do not have emergency phone. So if that's something you want to collect, you would just make that a custom question. And we also have custom logic within the volunteer platform as well. So very similar to the race registration. And this is just a slide kind of detailing what I said. Now to our email and reporting. So with our email setup, anybody that registers as a volunteer is going to receive an email with including their task. If a task is changed from a task coordinator or the race director changes a task, they are also going to receive an email. And just like in the RunSignup registration, you can go in and you can customize those emails if you'd like. Otherwise, they're just going to be the standard email that we have. We also offer the special tags within the volunteer registration, so you can personalize your emails using our special tags. And then we have the communication tool where you can send mass emails out to all of your volunteers or specific volunteers within a specific task, or you can import people where you can then send to them. And then we move to our reporting. So with our reporting, we have two reports with our volunteer setup right now. We have our summary reports, which is going to give you a broad overview of the tasks and how full they are. So have you met your goal or not? And then we have our volunteer report, which gives you the list of all of your volunteers that you can break down into their specific tasks. So we're going to kind of dive into the summary report first. This is what the summary report would look like. You'll see the tasks, the time slots, the amount of volunteers that are registered, and then your goal. So when your goal is met, you'll see it turns yellow and it says minimum reached. When you still need more participants, it will be red and it will let you know that more are needed. For the volunteer report, it's essentially a management tool where you can go in, you see the registrations, you see them by task, and you can go in and manage that. You can edit their information, you can edit the task that they're in, but it's just a list where you can then go in and manage. And if you do have a list of participants or volunteers, you can upload or import those volunteers into the system instead of having to sit there and manually enter, or you can manually enter if you'd like. So now we're going to look at it from the user experience. When a volunteer comes to your page, of course, it's going to be outlined in the theme of your race. This is not. However, it is just the section of what they will see when they go in to look at the tasks. So the first page shows we have 3 different tasks up there: a judge, a swag manager, and security. And you can see that the time slots are listed up there. We also have details and location for one of them. And then you'll see at the very bottom the resources that are needed. So that's what they'll see. And so, for instance, the swag manager, we don't have a time slot. We want somebody for that specific task. And the others do have time slots. So you'll select whichever task you'd like to do. You'll answer your questions, and then you'll be brought to this final page where you have your information. You have a waiver that you need to sign, and this waiver is the standard waiver that we have in the RunSignup race registration. You'll be able to review the summary, make sure that you signed up for the right task, and then you confirm your volunteer registration, and you have a completed volunteer.
So we're going to make that waiver custom.
Yes, you can edit it just like you can in the race. Yep. So that's basically the volunteer registration from beginning to end. It's fairly simple and straightforward, which is why I knew it wouldn't take very long to get through. We do have some frequently asked questions that I'm going to go through before we get to any questions that you guys may have. And we'll have a lot of time to talk because it was so fast. So the first question that we hear often is, can volunteers sign up for multiple tasks? The answer is yes. However, you have that really ambitious volunteer that wants to do everything and help you in any way they can, and they might overlap on time slots. And so then they are assigned to 3 different tasks at the same time, and that doesn't work for you. So you can select a option to prevent them from signing up for the same time slots within the race. So that is a question we get often. Another question we get is, can I set up automated volunteer emails? The short answer to that is no, not right now in the volunteer system. The solution to that is, if you have a race on RunSignup, you can utilize your RunSignup race for automated emails. You can go into the email marketing section and you can go into creating an email. Bless you. And when you go to create that email, if you have volunteers set up, there is a section where if you want to select different events, you can also select volunteers. So you don't even have to download the file to then upload it. And then last but not least, before we do get to questions, I have a couple of updates about our volunteer system. Now, if you guys were in the first talk with Bob when everybody came in, we are coming out with a volunteer check-in app that will be coming out fairly soon. I know that I think it's complete, and I think we're just testing right now, but it will be coming out very soon. So we will have more information on that as it comes. And then the second one is that by the end of the year, we will be revamping our volunteer registration, which is another reason why this is like very simple, kind of straightforward. We are going to be adding more features and we'll be doing a little overhaul of it. So, do we have any questions? Yes.
So, if we're dealing with organizations who some of the people are either not computer savvy or they don't have an email, can I, as the race manager or the task coordinator, do they have the ability to manually enter volunteers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
For a volunteer coordinator to make any changes, is it full administrative privileges to the?
So they will only have the ability to see the task that you give them, and they can edit volunteers. They can change volunteers to different tasks that they have access to, but it is just managing those specific volunteers. They will not have access to anything else in the back end of your registration.
If you have a race director, race manager, and they want to assign volunteers to someone, can you split that security as far as them getting to the volunteer section? Or, like, not just the task coordinator, but
Okay.
overall.
Yes, you can give them access. Yes.
Can you do a custom waiver where if it's a minor volunteering, you can have the parent signature required?
So minors aren't able to sign waivers, so by default there's wording in it that just says, say myself, or if I'm the parent or guardian of a minor, I hereby agree to this waiver. So legally, if you're a minor, your parent or guardian has to sign the waiver for you. So it's going to default to this is the parent signing the waiver, and there's wording in there for that.
You are correct. Thank you. Yes.
And the volunteer commits, do they get an email?
Yes, they get a confirmation email.
And is there a feature in there or instructions in there if they can't make it? Let us know if they can't make it.
You can put those in there. You can customize the email however you'd like. So yes. Yes.
There's a lot of people come back and want to do the same thing next year.
Right.
Is there a function to get an email out or then?
So that's what you can utilize in your race with the email marketing and send out. You can contact those people that participated last year and send an email out giving them that specific link to register.
Okay.
So yes.
On that, is there like a tag that could be used from like, this is what you did last
Yes, you can use the special tags. So we have, I can't name them off the top. We have like 100 of them. They are within the email template. If you scroll down to the bottom, they are at the bottom. It says like special tags, and then you can show that drop down.
So do volunteers at the end of registration, do they get prompted for Facebook fundraising or anything like that?
No. Our volunteer platform is different than our RunSignup race platform. We built this to just get it to the point where people aren't spending thousands of dollars on a volunteer platform that isn't even connected to their race, and they're trying to manage it. So we built this for the ability for you guys to have it all in one place. It is very simple, straightforward, just so that you can get that data. Any other questions? Alrighty, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.